What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. I'm joined by that Niner guy. We're going to be talking all things 49ers, NFL draft related. Stay tuned. What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again, joined by that Niner guy, Johnny. How you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm feeling good, and I'm so glad to have you on the show because I've heard you talk about these draft prospects, and you put me on to a few, and I'm like, man, this guy Johnny knows what he's talking about. So, and you were telling me you got a little background in the football world. Why don't you tell the audience and myself kind of where that started and where that's taken you?
So nowhere essentially. So in high school, I did work for my college. I went to San Jose State. I worked there for basically a football season as helping the regional scout guy, because as you know, they're very, very regional for recruiting there because they're basically looking for guys that kind of fall through the cracks and, graded eligible guys.
The Alabama boys aren't coming out to San Jose State?
Hey, we tried for Najee. Didn't work out so well. He's an Indian.
But you tried.
They tried. Nah. So I did that for a year, but then I was like, I needed to get a real job because it was a lot on top of school. So I got an internship at a radio station in the city that was I ended up getting on a show that was on Sirius XM overnight from 10 to 1 in the morning. And did that for about 4 years. I was a co-host and a producer, so I used to make content, and I had some contacts there. I have a couple coaches who are coaching in the league and are still coaching, so people who've helped me watch film, taught me more about the NFL game and stuff from back then. And then I quit radio and got a job in accounting finance, and I've been doing that ever since.
Hey, that's what's up. Well, I'm glad to have you on the show today. And before we hit to the draft stuff, because that's going to be the basis of this show, the 49ers made a move today, signing edge rusher Camiko Toure, former second-round pick. He had the 5.5 sacks last year, which was, I believe that was his career high so far. So he's coming off a good season. And when we were rumored to, or we brought him in the building, I want to say last week, and I was checking out his film, and I liked what I saw. When I'm evaluating these edge rushers, I like to see the hand usage, Johnny. That's really what I'm looking for. I love pass rushers that can really work their hands well against offensive linemen, and I saw that from Camiko. Have you checked him out at all, or what do you think about this Camiko Toure signing?
Yeah, so the Colts drafted him 4 years ago to be their, an edge guy. They thought they got a value. He's a good player. He has injury struggles. This past season, he actually played a little better than I'd say than Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye, I think struggled a lot. He didn't have a sack until much later in the season.
And that was their first round pick, right?
Kwity Paye. That was a first round pick. Yeah, they really like Kwity Paye. So I thought he played better for most of the season, but he was in a rotation and got less and less play time. But I still think he's a good player. I think it's a great signing for the Niners because it gives you depth, and it also, it fills the roster out a little bit more. It doesn't make you dependent on reaching for an edge rusher earlier in the draft. And overall, I think it's better for the team because now they could focus on their bigger needs.
I agree. I mean, you know how we like to run with these pass rushers. We have really good depth. I think Jordan Willis is going to be a good player. Charles Omenihu. I mean, we can go on listing 10 guys right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited about this Camiko Toure signing. And while we're on, you know what? There was a report that came out today.
There was
from a Panthers beat reporter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Can you touch on what was said and potentially who might be quarterbacking the Carolina Panthers this upcoming season?
Well, hopefully. But so it's this guy, John M. Alexander, he's a beat writer for the Panthers, tweeted today that he believes the next 2 weeks, the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers is going to be Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo.
I hope so. But let me tell you something, Johnny. If I'm a GM and I get the choice between Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm leaning Baker Mayfield. Is that just me, or who would you, if you're a GM trying to win, who would you go with?
It's hard because so bottom line for Rule and the general manager, I'm blanking on his name right now. They have to win. They don't win this year, they're done. They're both getting fired.
Yeah,
that's 100%.
Now it's Matt Rule, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, Rule's the coach. I'm forgetting the GM's name.
No, yeah,
but
yeah.
I
mean, Matt Rule's going to be gone too if he doesn't win.
Yeah, they both fired. I think fundamentally they've done a good job getting talent in the building there, but they're not winning games, so that doesn't matter. I fundamentally agree that it's more of a toss-up. It's a 50-50, but it's what 50 do you want? Do you want the better arm talent, or do you want the leader? They both get hurt. That's a phenomenal call. Way to go, Brian Clips. What's up, man? Club, how you doing, buddy? But yeah, they both have pros and they both have the same cons. And I think Jimmy is more enticing to them because his contract isn't fully guaranteed. So, and I still believe right now the Browns aren't going to trade Baker unless they get a first round pick. I don't believe that's going to happen because
but they already brought in obviously Deshaun Watson,
right?
And they brought in Jacoby Brissett.
They did,
right?
But
yeah.
But the hardest part for the Browns is Deshaun might get suspended for a season, and if that does happen with that roster having Jacoby Brissett be the only quarterback, that's tough. You're wasting a team that can go to the playoffs. Baker has shown at least he can get you to the playoffs. So I think overall, that's a good point. Baker did also say he said Seahawks are bust. He did say that's in his phenomenal interview that pissed people off. Thank you, Baker. Just keep being the kid.
Yeah, on the couch with the dog. I seen some of that.
Yeah, the dog just flashing everyone the bird. It was great. I think overall, I think the Panthers maybe want a leader in the room who can kind of galvanize it and get them the 9 wins and show improvement to let's say to tell David Tepper that we can keep our jobs. I think they roll with Jimmy, and then if they draft a guy, maybe, but I don't think they're going with a quarterback at 6. I really don't. I don't think I don't think a quarterback's going to be taken in the top 10. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this quarterback class is subpar. Hey, but why don't we get right into it? The reason I got you here because you've been putting me on to a lot of these prospects. So I said, Johnny, aka that Niner guy, I got to get you on my show. And we're going to start off with the edge. All right. Here you see the big boys up top that are going in the top 5. So we might have to scroll down a little bit if we're eyeing, an edge prospect for the 49ers. And you stop me anywhere because, man, Karlaftis, let me pull up. And, Johnny, I got to tell you, I stole my daughter's composition notebook, and this is my draft notebook right here. So let me scroll to my edge rushing notes. Let me tell you something. I don't got Karlaftis this high. I'll tell you that on Baller's big board.
Yeah, he's a tweener. He's 6'2", has short arms, and he played edge in 3 technique. And as we saw from Solomon Thomas, when you don't have a position getting drafted in the first round, it puts a lot of pressure on you and makes life really difficult. Now, I think Karlaftis is going to go in the first round. I just question where. I think Baltimore's a fit because he could tack on 20 pounds and be a 3 technique in that defense. And I think that would be the perfect fit for him if he could win like 13, 14, whenever Baltimore picks.
No doubt. What's up, Don? And why don't we move down the board a little bit? And I know David Ojabo, I don't expect him to be there at pick 61 for the 49ers, but he's kind of philosophically who I'm eyeing for the Niners in terms of kind of that Leo edge rusher. I think we need that speed rusher on the opposite side of Bosa, kind of what D Ford was brought in to be. And I guess Camiko Toure, the newest signing, probably fits that Leo position the best in my mind. I mean, Samson Ebukam, maybe. But when I'm looking at pass rushers for the 49ers, it's mostly looking for that speed rusher. Would you agree with that? Or you think we can kind of draft a versatile run-stuffing D-end? Or Well, what are you thinking when you think 49ers edge?
It depends, and here's why. Like this defensive line play is much more pass rushing is a unit, regardless of if you have a hunter off the edge like Nick Bosa or Khalil Mack or Joey or Myles Garrett, right? It's a unit and it's got to be consistent. Now, what did the Niners defensive line do best last year when they were rolling? It was collapsing the pocket and making the back of the pocket really tight. And Ebukam, for his faults, he's not a perfect player. He started playing a hell of a lot better in the second half of the season and through the playoffs versus the first half. And I understand why. I mean, he didn't really play a lot. He's transferred to a new position. He was an outside linebacker in the 3-4, now a true defensive end. You have no help outside of you in the wide nines. So it's a very different kind of scheme and look. You don't have that extra 5 technique there, taking on a double team. So then you're on a tight end and a fullback all the time. So I would like an edge rusher that's with a lot of speed. The problem is that guy probably isn't there until the 4th round, realistically.
Okay. Let's keep scrolling down this list because, well, I like Ojabo, and Swansong said he was able to nab him in a mock draft at 61.
Yeah, he's falling because of the Achilles. He definitely is falling. The question is how far he's going to fall. I have a feeling if the Browns have a 2nd round pick, I have a feeling they're going to take David Ojabo with their 2nd round pick if he falls to them. That's that's my landing spot for him.
Okay. Let's keep on scrolling down. Jermaine Johnson. I want to check my notes on Jermaine Johnson. He's big. He's physical. He's got great eyes, is what I wrote, and that means he keeps his eyes on the quarterback during his pass rush. So if the quarterback's sliding up, he can shed. He's got good awareness. Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah,
good club move, but he's a 5th-year senior, so he's an older prospect.
Yeah, so he went to Georgia, transferred, and then went to Florida State. Imagine if Georgia had him this last year. Oh my God. But yeah, he had a phenomenal season this last year. I was watching his tape early in the draft process, and I was like, oh my God, this guy was like a 2nd round value. So I was like, fingers crossed. But he's going to go high in the 1st round. I think he's going to be the 4th edge rusher off the board.
And the guy who I just brought up right here, Boye Mafe, this is like the ideal pass rusher in my mind for the 49ers because Mafe, he's got that burst, right? He's the speed rusher that I'm looking at. But again, I don't think he's making it to 61.
You know what? I really wanted to like Boye Mafe more when I saw him with the Senior Bowl because I hadn't watched his tape yet, and I was really higher on him when I watched the Senior Bowl. But I went back and watched his tape. I was underwhelmed. It might have been the scheme because he was playing they played that weird 3-3 defense where the end is not really an end. He's a 5 technique a lot, and his hand's not in the ground as often. He's kind of standing up, and he's really trying to contain because he has no help on the backside of him. So I thought it's maybe slowed him down a bit. But, he has all the measurables. He has the speed. He has all that stuff. But his tape it left me lacking. I wouldn't take him to the 3rd round personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little higher on Boye Mafe than you are.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a really hard draft grader, and I only have 15 guys with a 1st round grade in this draft.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure we'll touch on some of those guys here soon.
A lot of 2s and 3s. A lot of 2s and 3s.
And the next player on this list, Nick Bonito, he was a guy he was a tough read for me because at Oklahoma, they had him moving around like he was lined up at middle linebacker, it looked like when I'm watching the tape. But he's an edge rusher, and he's a pure speed guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nick Bonito's a pure speed guy. I want to find him on my notes here. Nick Bonito, he ran the 4.5 at the combine. So he's got the burst at the line of scrimmage. And like I said, he lined up everywhere. He had the 40-inch vert. So athletically, he's explosive. But Nick Bonito, he was a tough guy for me to get a good feel for. You got any thoughts on Nick Bonito?
Yeah, a lot of people have called him a one-trick pony. I think that's a little bit harsh. He's got game. The problem I have with Nick Bonito is 2 things. One, he doesn't fit this defense at all. And that's just unfortunate. He doesn't fit the 49ers defense.
Really? Why is that? You don't think we could stick him out wide, opposite Bosa in pass rush? I think he's definitely going to be used primarily in pass rushing downs wherever he goes. And that's why I don't like him this high on PFF's board. Yeah. Because what I was watching, he was getting worked in the run game. He's 6'3", 248. he shouldn't have been getting moved around. Like I saw him getting pushed around in the run game. So I'm kind of with the one trick pony thing. I don't know.
No, so you're exactly right. And that's the problem with this draft is that a lot of guys are being overdrafted because it's a lot of second and third round players, Nick Bonito being one of them. I like him in the third round because right now he's only a sub package third and long pass rusher right now. Realistically, he's not a 3-down player. And going down this list, starting past Nick Bonito, you can say that for almost every single one of these guys because they all have some major flaw. But they're going to get taken. I mean, Ebby Katie could go in the first round. I really think the Chiefs are going to take him. I really do, and I think it's a giant mistake. But again, it's this draft class. You know
what's funny is it sounds like you're lower on Ebiketie, and you mentioned you're a little lower on Mafe. Both those guys, when I was watching them, they looked like the same guy to me.
Yep.
Talking about Boye Mafe and Arnold Ebiketie, it's like they both got these tantalizing tools that I like. Potential Leo speed rushers with I feel like the 49ers need. So I like those two. It sounds like maybe a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Finish your thought on Ebiketie.
Well, Ebiketie's the one guy where I get really pissed off when I watch his film because as a pass rusher, he's a phenomenal pass rusher. Like he really is really good with his hands, but it's not about the highlights. It's about the whole game tape. And for me, he is not a good edge setter. And to me, if you're wondering where I'm getting this from, just watch the Michigan game. It is the perfect tale of why he is not a high first round pick because you see them get the 2.5 sacks. You see him get a strip fumble in the fourth quarter. No question. I'm not saying he's not a bad pass rusher. I think he's going to be a good player. But when they had to get a stop on defense, watch what happens where Michigan calls every single run play and watch where Arnold Ebiketie ends up on every single play. They have a redshirt freshman tight end blowing him in the next week. Now it's the fourth quarter and he's tired. I get all that. I really do. But it was on tape. You have to coach it. That's just it. And right now, if you're taking Ebiketie that high, you have to understand that I think right now he's, again, like Benito. Is he a better player? Yeah, I say he's a better player, but he's still a sub-package guy. He's not an every-down linebacker. Maybe in a 3-4 as an outside linebacker, that might be a better fit because he has a little bit more interior help, and it's going to be more one-on-ones versus the double teams. But that's kind of where I see him at.
Okay, fair enough. And if Ebiketie makes it to 61, I'm calling John Lynch and saying, "Hey, pull the trigger."
Yeah,
right? Let's keep it.
He's
moving,
not going to make it. Yeah,
because trust me, we could do an hour show just on edge rushers, and I want to talk about a few more players. But Kingsland, Enikbari, other guys are higher on him than I am. 6'1", shoot, he looked bigger than 6'1" on tape. But I thought he moved well. Didn't quite have the sack production. I'm lower on Kingsley than I know a lot of my 49ers counterparts. You got any thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's just a little too stiff. He's pretty good with his hands, but the problem is he's just one of those guys. He's almost there all the time. I think when you get to he's in the SEC too, so maybe if you went to a different conference, you see him get more sacks.
He's facing good talent. He's facing good offensive linemen out there in the SEC. But you know what? I really want to touch on this next guy because this is one of my guys right here, Drake Jackson out of USC. And this guy's got an array of moves, Johnny. I'm talking about the spin move. He's got this counter spin move. Well, he'll threaten the tackle outside, and then he spins back inside. And he was just giving tackles fits with this spin move. He's got the spin. He's got that hezzy where he'll give you that 1-2. And is he going to bull rush you? Is he going to outside, inside? So I like Drake Jackson's pass rushing mindset. I think he's got a good brain and just ability to kind of pick what pass rush move is going to work against this offensive lineman. He's got good hands. One thing I did write down, I don't know if he's that Leo speed rusher that I'm kind of eyeing. The burst kind of was, I'm not sure if he's a true Leo, but I just think he's got good pass rushing tools, and I like him. I like Drake Jackson. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so he's an interesting guy because he was a 5-star who got literally a scholarship from every school in the country. Like he was a Boobie Miles prospect where he gets literally too much mail to go through as far as that. And he went to USC and he heavily underwhelmed. Now, maybe it was just because they were changing defenses back and forth a bit, but my take on Drake Jackson is he has all the tools to be a really good pass rusher. But to me, it's effort. You just don't see it in this game. And it's unfortunate. It maybe going to the NFL might give him the nice swift kick in the ass that will get that going.
I mean, but do you think that effort, I feel like that's something that can be coached up, or you think that's just an innate ability that's just within a human?
I think, and from my experience in football, from being around a lot of people, the people who make it to the NFL are high effort guys to start. Like that's sort of my take. Like, talk about Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat's a guy who went on the Eagles, finally got paid. He was a 5-star, tore his ACL multiple times in college, but he was always a grinder. He was just one of those guys. He's just finding a weight room, trying to get a chance. Got drafted, made his own opportunity, and now he's back in the league. He just got a second contract. That's sort of what I'm looking for with guys. And Jackson, I don't know if it's football and everything. I think he's just one of those guys who's been kissed a little bit too much on the rear, a bit too much.
Okay, I got you. I got to say what's up to my boy Durgan. What's up, Durgan? Thanks for coming by. And Sacktown Izzy. What's going down? I'm feeling good. I'm pumped up to talk some ball. Hey, you guys in the chat, let me know, what pass rushers you're feeling. Make sure you guys are letting the comments fly because we'll pull them up here. But let's keep on scrolling down this edge rushing list. Cameron Thomas, I don't really want to touch on him too much.
Keep going.
He's a big end. I mean, he can play inside. DeMarvin Leal, this is one guy I have not seen. I don't know nothing about this guy.
So he's a 5-star too, who heavily underwhelmed, has a ton of talent. A&M had a bunch of these guys who were like Leon O'Neal's. They also had the other defensive end, Michael Clemens. Their defense didn't really come together as a whole. It's effort questions. Is this really what he wants to do? Is he a football player? Is he just trying to get a contract? I don't know. I'm not going to project on a 20-year-old kid. But no, there's a lot of talent there. And if somebody can get their hands on him, get him right, I think it could be a hell of a player.
Okay, thanks for filling me in on him because I didn't know too much about him. But hey, this next guy, Josh Pascal, this is someone who I've checked out. And let me tell you, Johnny, I'm really feeling this guy. He only had, I want to say he had like 5 sacks.
I think, five or 4.
Yeah, he only had 5 sacks. That was his season high at Kentucky. But the guy had 15 tackles for loss this past year. This guy lives in the backfield. And when I was watching Josh Pascal, it almost felt like, I got to go full screen for this one. It almost felt like I was watching an NFL player go back to college and play because he just felt like a polished defensive end. He can play the run. Like I said, he had 5 sacks, which maybe just meh, but it's like Kentucky, in the SEC, they're getting when they're down. When they're down on the scoreboard, they got to play the run. So it's not like he's playing. He has a ton of pass rushing reps in the SEC, which, as we know, the offensive linemen are good in that conference. But Josh Pascal, he's a guy I really like. I thought he was silky smooth. I wrote down he was just a fucking baller, Johnny.
Yeah.
He was blocking kicks. He's tough versus the run. You can line him up inside. I really like Josh Pascal. Again, he's probably not that prototypical Leo speed rusher, but I think he's just a hell of a player. Let me know your thoughts.
Dude, no, I was – so Josh Pascal, and we'll get to Sam Williams, but those were the 2 guys that, as far as the 3rd round, that – what's up, No Borders? How you doing, buddy? That I really liked. Pascal, he lives by like – the one thing about Pascal that I love is that he gets blocked, but he doesn't stay blocked. And when you watch him on his tape, he gets tapped, he gets pushed around or whatever, and he's always getting off a block, always influencing the play. Like those sort of guys you don't find them very often. Now, the problem with Pascal is I don't think he's an edge in the 49er system. I think he's a 3 technique. And I don't have no problem with it.
I mean, I know he can shift inside.
He played a lot more inside than you think.
I feel like he could be a big end. Like, he's not Eric Armstead big, but I feel like he could fill in at a big end.
I think he'd be better than Eric Armstead at that role as being a big end than going inside and pass rushing, because the one thing with Armstead gets too in love with the swim move, and Pascal has a little bit more shifty, is twitchy to him, and he might be stronger. Like Pascal ran through some people in the SEC. It was impressive to watch his tape. Like I'm not just talking about the pass rush, I'm talking about the run game too. It was impressive.
Yeah. Okay, so me and you both really like Josh Pascal, and he's a guy I think we don't anticipate, especially with this latest signing of Camiko Toure. I don't think we anticipate edge at 61. Yeah. But if they did pick Pascal, I wouldn't be mad because I just love the talent. But why don't we keep him moving? D'Angelo Malone is next on my list. I'm trying to think. I think I watched some D'Angelo Malone. Yeah, I did. Out of Western Kentucky. PFF isn't going to give us any info, so you're going to rely on Baller and Johnny for D'Angelo Malone's info. Yeah. And I wrote down he's got great pursuit. He flashes the good hands that I'm looking for, but you don't see quite enough of it to say I think this guy's got really good hands. Mm-hmm. But he's got the explosive tools, right? He ran a 4.5. And I mean 4.5 at DN. That kind of perks up my ears a little bit and piques my interest. Yeah. So I think D'Angelo Malone, I think he's got some tools. What do you think about the guy?
He's got some tools. It's hard to project because he didn't always pass rush the way that the 49ers pass rush. A lot of the times, because of all the running quarterbacks, he actually kind of played a sub linebacker and would sit at the line of scrimmage and then try and figure out exactly where the quarterback was moving to and go up and make a play. Having said that, he's got some moves. He's a little bit more developmental. So I think 104 as far as the value chart, top of the 4th round is perfect for where he's at. That's why I think PFF nailed that one on the head. There's some that I think they're completely wrong on, but this one's about right. Comp pick territory. A guy who's toolsy but needs a lot of work. He's an extra pick. Take him. Try and figure it out with him. I don't know if the Niners will take him, but he's the type of edge that I would expect them to take in this draft.
Hey, and we got some names that I know we like coming up here. So Myjai Sanders. Let me scroll to my Myjai Sanders notes again. I'm looking at my composition notebook that I stole from my daughter. I got my draft notes in here, and Myjai Sanders. Let me find this cat. Myjai Sanders out of Cincy. He's another guy. He's got the hesitation move, which I like. Good hands, solid burst. Sorry, Shardall. I'm doing a show, big dog. But yeah, Myjai Sanders, good hezzy, good hands, solid burst. He's got some tools that I feel like Chris Kocurek. I feel like he might be a bit unrefined, but you get him in the building with Kocurek, and we might be able to refine some of that.
Yeah, so I hated his tape. I'm going to be honest. I was pissed when I watched this tape because he had some
did you see the tools?
Yeah, I saw the tools, but I saw the mistakes more often than I saw the tools. He got on ski. He played really high. Now he's 6'5", and I understand that is really tough, especially being in the scheme. The scheme they had is not good for an edge rusher because they're always dropping 8. They're very, very bringing 4. So you're facing double teams a lot. I understand that. There's some scheme things there that hurt some of his production. But when he did produce, a lot of it was created. So a lot of blitzes, a lot of TE stunts. You'll see on his highlight tape, most of his sacks were taking the tackle and the guard and letting him come underneath and getting the sack. Like 80% of his sacks are that. So his production to me is a little inflated. The Notre Dame game, I wanted to throw I was actually upset with how bad he played. I mean, he got pushed around.
That's passion, Johnny. If you're watching tape and it gets you upset, usually it's only the Jimmy Garoppolo tape that I watch that gets me going and boils my blood. It's usually Jimmy, but man, the prospects are doing it for you. That means you're invested, Johnny. I feel it.
Yeah, because I want these guys to do good. I mean, listen, I'm pro player. I want to see guys who get the draft story, who come out of obscurity, you come up and have a great NFL career. As you get older, you start to see that, especially when you were a scout, when you start to meet people like in their homes and you want them to do well. You're not rooting against them anymore. You root for people as you get older. And I'm a Niner fan, die hard, but there's tons of players in the league that I like, and I wanted to like Myjai Sanders, and I couldn't do it. I was upset. I was like, dude, come on.
Hey, well, this next guy is a guy I know you like because when I told you, I'm watching these edge rushers, and you said, hey, have you checked out Sam Williams yet? I got to go full screen for this one. You said baller. You got to check out Sam Williams. And I was like, okay, let me see what he's got. I put on the tape and I was like, whoa, I fucking like this guy. It was I know we signed Toure, but if we drafted Sam Williams at 61, I would be completely fine with it. I'd be happy because that's how good I think this guy's potential is. I want to get to my Sam Williams notes here. He's fast. He's physical. He's got the burst. I think he could play the Leo speed rushing position and with some physicality. Mm-hmm. He's got good hands, good bend, right? He's got good bend. You see him dipping down low, getting underneath some offensive linemen. So Sam Williams is a guy you put me on to, and I appreciate it because I absolutely love that tape.
So I got a little spiel on Sam Williams. So I watched the Senior Bowl stuff, and everyone was talking about Najee Sanders, Ebukati, and I was like, dude, why is no one talking about Sam Williams? What the hell is going on here? It didn't make any sense to me. So I went back and watched his tape, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's why is no one talking about him being higher? He's better than a lot of these guys. Like, he has more tools, he has more size, and he's just as fast. And at the combine, we proved he's faster. So what's the deal here? Then you find out the deal. He has a pretty bad looking off the field issue. And it's something that he was acquitted of all charges.
The charges were dropped.
Charges were dropped. He was never actually charged. He was arrested, but it's a bad soundbite. And we've stayed away from those guys since Reuben Foster. But in my mind, Johnny, it's like, dude, how long can you hold stuff against players? The charges were dropped, and I know they're tough, they're tricky situations, so I don't want to come off insensitive, but just what I saw on the field, because I don't know what the fuck happened off the field. All right. But I'm just talking about what I saw on the field and on the tape. And I thought that Sam Williams was phenomenal, intriguing. I thought he was like a first-round talent that we're seeing mocked in the third or the fourth round. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. And I know the 49ers are going to do their due diligence, but if they feel comfortable with Sam Williams, draft the guy. Yeah, and that's the thing, right, is that I feel like and I spoke to my buddy who's a scout about Sam Williams because he said buckle up when I asked him. He just said buckle up because he's had some education issues too. He went to JUCO because he had terrible grades in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, he was a 5-star recruit. Like, it wasn't like in high school level they were like, no, this guy can't play. No, this guy can freaking play. He has a ton of talent. That is not the issue with Sam Williams. It's a history of making poor decisions and then having a even more poor decision that got brought against him. Now, I'm not condoning the behavior. I don't want to get into that because that's something. Listen, we weren't there. We don't know. It's not worth talking about. And from the talent standpoint, Barry Baller is completely right. Eric's right. He is a phenomenal player and he's very undervalued. And that's why I felt like he's a good pick for the Niners, because while everyone else is not getting value with these picks in a draft class that's less than good, you can get a steal, especially in this draft. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, before we move to another position, do you got maybe one last edge rusher or two that you like, or you think we've kind of hit on everybody you're feeling?
Yeah. There's one actually, the kid from Virginia Tech who ran the 4.35. I watched.
What's his name?
Armar Barno. He's
Barno. Yes. Oh, he's the last guy. He's last on my list that I've checked out. With him, some of these guys I've watched. On YouTube, you can often find like offense versus defense for a lot of these colleges. So for a lot of them, I do that. But for Barno, I had to settle for just some highlights. Right. Which, in a pinch, I feel like is acceptable. But I wrote down he's got the good acceleration at the snap. He flashed the inside spin, and he's got some tools. Then I wrote down he really likes that inside spin. So he was winning quite often with that inside spin move.
Yeah, so this year in particular, he was in a rotation a lot. So he doesn't have high numbers. But he's sort of the guy that I could see the 49ers taking in the 4th round as a developmental guy.
And he's a Leo.
He
can fill that Leo speed rushing position.
Yeah, he truly is a fit there because he's long, he's lanky, and he's freaking fast and plays fast. That was the one thing that when you see guys who are that fast, it's not are they fast, it's do they play that fast, and he 100% does.
Smooth. Hey, I want to kick it over to wide receiver. All right, and let's see. We'll just scroll through. I know we're not drafting no one at the top. Drake London, I'm way lower on Drake London. Garrett Wilson's a stud. Jamison Williams is a monster. Olave, phenomenal. Burks is a beast. Sky Moore, slot. Jahan Dotson,
he's really good.
Lower. I think I'm a little. I know he's really talented, and he looks like Randall Cobb, like peak Randall Cobb went back to college and played, but I don't know. I wouldn't take him in the first round. That's just me. George Pickens, tantalizing tools. Again, I think for the 49ers, I think we're looking lower on this list.
Yeah.
Christian Watson, man, this is the guy. I don't know. If he makes it to 61, you fucking draft the guy, but I don't think he's going to be there.
So, okay, I don't want to get canceled by Niners Twitter, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about canceled. He's really talented, has a lot of tools. I'm not questioning that. I go to the no. Yeah, to the no.
No Christian Watson slander on this show. We love not playing. No, I'm just playing.
I know. That was funny though, I gotta admit.
Here's the lowdown on Watson.
He doesn't separate a lot. And that's concerning for the FBS level. I don't think he played as fast as he is. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying everyone's saying we should trade Deebo Samuel to draft Christian Watkins is a bad idea. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying. It's not Jamar Chase and Justin and Burrow. Okay? It's not the same thing. Let's just be very clear about that. I think he's got a lot of tools. He has height, which I think is very, very rare for a guy that fast. But overall, his game's good. It's not great yet. He still needs.
He's a deep threat. Wherever he goes, he's going to be predominantly used as that deep threat. Robbie Anderson-ish, right? Yeah. Kind of with that length and with that long speed. But let's keep it moving. I really like Watson. You might be just a tad bit lower, it sounds like.
I think he's a good player.
Next guy on this board. This guy on this board I really like, Alec Pierce. I've been calling him kind of like the George Kittle of wide receivers.
Yeah.
And more so, maybe because he's white, but more so because he runs well. He's got good speed for a white boy. Let me tell you, he can run. What he ran like a 4.4 at the combine.
He did.
Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder. Alec Pierce was Desmond Ridder's deep threat. Alec Pierce can win down the field. So he flashes that stretch the field ability. And I think he also plays really physical. Like he's tough after the catch. Alec Pierce, I feel like can kind of do it all. May not be super twitchy, right? May not have that quick twitch, but I think he's a hell of a receiver. He's got the size, the speed, the physicality. 61. I don't think we go receiver at 61. What do you think about that? Wide receiver at 61. No shot?
I think they got to go safety. And I can get into that later. I think there's 5 safeties in this draft who are legit studs. And no, Kyle Hamilton is not one of them. I'm sorry, I'm one of those guys. I'm not a big Kyle Hamilton
fan. Okay, yeah. Let's save the safety talk just for a minute because we're gonna get to that. Okay, let's keep it moving down this board. Khalil Shakir. Shout out Jamal. I know Jamal is a big Khalil Shakir guy. I like Shakir. Too. You know, when he catches the ball, the guy turns into a running back. Like he's really dynamic with the ball. And I know he ran better than most people expected he was going to run at the combine, but I don't think he's a deep threat. He's a slot guy who's tough. And to be honest, kind of with Jawan Jennings, with Ray McLeod, who I think is going to get a sizable amount of snaps in the slot, I'm passing on Shakir, but what do you think?
Shakir makes sense if not saying this was going to happen if Brandon Ayuk something happened to him, like he got traded. Not saying it's going to happen. I like his game a lot. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he struggled with a lack of talent problem around him at Boise. He was by far their best player, and it wasn't even close. But overall, I think he's a really good receiver. I think he's a bit underrated in this process, especially on PFF's board. People have him going in the 4th round, which is surprising. But
Oh,
there are
yeah.
a lot of good receivers here, and I'm just curious if there's going to be a run on receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to keep it moving because we could talk for hours on this. But John Metchi out of Alabama, he's got an injury. I think he's got an ACL that he's rehabbing.
He tore it late
John
too.
Metchi. I mean, how many times have we seen John Metchi in big games just show up for Alabama? Felt like every big game, John Metchi's got 100 yards. He's kind of Tyler Lockett-y. That's what I described him in my notes. Like he's kind of got some Tyler Lockett-ish kind of tools, but I mean, he didn't really wow me that much. Like he's just a good receiver. I'd actually like to keep it moving, to be honest. Calvin Austin is a guy I know 49ers Twitter is enamored with. Former track guy. He's tiny. He's 5'8", but he's got the speed and he's making acrobatic catches. Like this guy's leaping up, and even though he's 5'8", the vertical showed up. I don't have the combine numbers in front of me, but he ran really well, jumped really high. So he plays a little bigger than the 5'8". But what are your thoughts on Calvin Austin?
He's just a burner. He's just one of those guys. He's just going to outrun you all the time, all day, every day. And don't get me wrong. I think the Niners should look into him, but getting Ray kind of, you got him already. Got that.
It puts us out on Calvin Austin, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. If we hadn't gotten Ray, then I would say he may be higher on the draft board for me for the Niners.
Hey, well, this next guy, let me tell you, Romeo Dobbs. I'm higher on Romeo Dobbs. I got to go full screen for this one again. I'm higher on Romeo than anybody you'll see. I got him inside my top 10 at the wide receiver position, which is could be ludicrous, but just the tape that I saw, he's got the size, the speed, the acceleration. I mean, the coaches at Nevada were calling him the cheetah. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard receiving years at Nevada, with Carson Strong, who I think is decent, but I'm not really feeling Carson Strong. I mean, we're not going to touch on quarterbacks because the 49ers don't need one, but I don't think Carson Strong's that good. So it's not like Carson Strong's manufacturing these yards for Dobbs. I just saw Dobbs consistently winning down the field. I like the size, speed, acceleration combination. And the thing with Dobbs is I think he's fallen down draft boards because this guy hasn't done shit. He didn't run at the combine. He didn't run at his pro day. He didn't even interview. And I listened to an interview from last, or I think it was from the Senior Bowl. And to be honest, Johnny, he sounded kind of stupid. Sorry, Romeo. I'm your biggest fan, but he didn't interview very well from the 2 or 3 minute interview I saw. So he didn't interview well. He didn't do, but let me tell you, I still like me some Romeo Dobbs. If he's there, maybe with those comp picks at the end of round 3 or round 4, I'm pounding the table. I like Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah,
what do you think about him?
He's got the height, the hands, the speed, the talent. I'm not saying he's definitely in that big tier 3 group of receivers in this draft class, tier 2 even.
Shout out to my boy Matthew Durgan. You're the man, Matt.
What's up, buddy?
And he's with me. Dub's the most underrated receiver in this draft. That's what I'm saying, Matt.
I would say him and David Bell, I think, are the 2 most underrated receivers because all those guys did was produce. I'm kind of like David Bell's I'm shocked how much he's fallen on PFF and all the draft sites.
Well, you know what? He had a bad combine. I'm trying to pull up my wide receiver notes here. But David Bell had a bad combine, ran slow. But let me tell you, David Bell's just a baller. I mean, out of Purdue, he's got high awareness. What does that mean? It means he knows when to throttle down and find the open hole against zone. Like he's just a smart receiver. Caught a lot of balls at Purdue. His releases off the line of scrimmage, phenomenal. We're talking about David Bell.
Yeah.
I thought he was good after the catch. And honestly, I could have predicted his slow combine time because my notes said maybe not high-end speed, which that means that I think he's kind of slow. And that played out with the combine numbers. But I think he's a smart guy, good receiver. What do you think?
He played faster, though, than his 40 time. That's the thing with David Bell that I really liked. Purdue wasn't like Purdue had some amazing groundbreaking offense. And look at his numbers. I mean, he had a hell of a season because he's always getting open in those option routes. He uses his body well over the middle of the field. Now, speed could be an issue, but I still, like, if I was in the 4th round pick and he's on the board, I'd gladly take a shot on him. He's the perfect
let me
guy
tell
to
you,
take a
I
shot
think
on.
he's like, I mean, he's 6'2", so maybe he's not, can be classified as a big slot, but I mean, I feel like you can put him in the slot and he can win these two-way goes. Is it a post? Is it a corner? Because I think he's a good route runner. He's smart. But I got to touch on Freddie Max. Dobbs, no fucking way Dobbs is a 4'6" or a 4'7" guy. I'm sorry. The coaches were calling him the cheetah, and I don't buy it because he didn't run at the combine.
Dobbs,
I don't know who NFL draft buzz is, but I'm calling BS because he didn't run at the combine. He didn't run at his pro day. You put on the tape, and the guy's running away from everybody.
Yeah, so I know Dobbs got hurt at the end of the season or in the offseason working out. So maybe
it was a knee, right?
Yeah, I think it was his knee. I don't know all the specifics of the injury. So if he ran a 40 recently, it could be he's not 100% yet. But he doesn't play like a 4'6" or 4'7".
Hell no. Hell no. Otherwise, I wouldn't be pounding the table. Romeo Dobbs is my guy. But let's keep it moving down this board, and I'm gonna scroll through. You stop me. Wan'Dale Robinson,
just a burner.
Just a burner, or just a slot guy. I think he's just a slot guy.
Yeah, slot guy.
He's just a little slot guy. You know, you can give him some end arounds and do some stuff like that. He's shifty, but
yeah.
I know other folks are higher on Wan'Dale than I am. Josh Johnson, I actually haven't really checked out Josh.
His tape's good.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. I gotta go back.
He's a guy on like their mock draft site who's in free fall a little bit. But I went back and watched his tape, and again, he's at Tulsa, so he is the offense, and he had a hell of a season. I was impressed.
Okay.
I don't know his 40 time or anything like that, but his tape was good. I thought it was actually fairly impressive.
Okay. I got to check him out. Who I have seen is this slot receiver Kyle Phillips out of UCLA, and I think he's really good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to throw around like Julian Edelman comps lightly, but he's giving me those Julian Edelman vibes. Yeah. I think he's just a really good slot receiver, Kyle Phillips, but let's keep it moving. Kevin Austin, I remember I wasn't really impressed with. Javon Hele, like he was I mean, I'm just scrolling through. Tyquan Thornton, that's the Blazer. Reggie Roberson out of SMU. I like the other SMU receiver more than Reggie Roberson.
If you click, I think he's literally the next guy on the board. Yeah.
Someone's been doing their PFF mock drafts over here, Johnny. Because Danny Gray, he's a guy, and I know NFL Network put out their rankings, and they have him like in like the 60s, which I was shocked to see. Mm-hmm. So the NFL Network big board is a lot higher on Danny Gray than PFF. And I would lean more towards that NFL Network grade because Danny Gray, this guy, he's a track star. He's a blazer. When I was looking for a deep threat, because that's what I think with the 49ers, I'm more so eyeing just a pure speed demon who's going to stretch the field. We know Trey Lance has got a cannon on that right arm, so I'm kind of looking for field stretchers. Danny Gray fits that mold perfectly, and I know the 49ers have interviewed him.
Yeah, they have. So my buddy who's a scout talked about Danny Gray because scouts were told when they went to games to go see Reggie, actually. He was the guy coming into this process who was going to be hot, was maybe like an early 3rd round pick is what they were thinking. And every game they went to, oh, what's up, Jesse? How you doing, buddy? Every game they went to, Danny Gray kept flashing every single time. So
dude, his acceleration, he's got long speed, but he's also got the short area quickness where he's catching these bubble screens, finding the crease, and then he's off to the races. So Danny Gray, man, I wouldn't be mad if we took him with one of those comp picks at the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me either. I don't know. We'll see. But I think he might go in the 3rd or higher in the 3rd round. The one thing I will know about the NFL Network draft board from experienced people I've talked to about this, that draft board is a little bit more accurate because they're getting their information directly from scouting departments.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
PFF is all about their grading.
Yeah, I got you. So let's transition from Jesse Naylor, last second sports, to Jalen Naylor, wide receiver out of Michigan State. This is a guy I actually haven't watched. So if you got something on Jalen, fill me in.
He's all right. I mean, he's nothing special. I would say of a guy in that range, Valis Jones is definitely a guy to keep your eye on.
Okay, Valis, he ran well at the combine. I remember he popped off on the 40-yard dash.
So he's an older guy. I think he's a guy who's a realistic target for the Niners. People ask, like, why didn't he play ever? Well, go back. So he was at USC before. Go back and look at the USC receivers that were in front of him. Mm-hmm. You got Michael Pittman. You got Drake London's. You have and I can't name off the top of my head, but there's a long list of NFL receivers who were in front of this guy. He never really got a shot. This year got a shot at Tennessee. It was a pretty damn good player. So I think he's a realistic option. He's probably a perfect pick for the Niners because you don't want to give him a second contract. He's almost 20 to be 29 at the end of it. So it's a win-win for the Niners on their money ball play. Perfect.
Last receivers I want, because I want to hit on another position.
Yeah.
But Ty Freifogel was actually a guy who I liked out of Indiana. He had bad quarterback play, but I just liked Freifogel. I can't quite put my finger on it. Why? Because I don't think he's a Blazer, but I just think he's got a good feel for the wide receiver position. And I think there's something to say about that. And then this guy, Digene Dixon. Let me pull up my Digene Dixon notes because I know I liked this guy. But, man, he's got some off-field stuff too.
Yeah.
That Niner guy. Yeah, out of Nicholls State. He's big, and he moves well for the 6'3", 6'4" that he's listed at. Moves well. And he's another guy who's just got a really good feel for the wide receiver position. So I like Digene Dixon.
Yeah.
Charleston Rambo. Hey, this guy Devin Tompkins, man. Calvin Austin has all the buzz for these short, speedy slot receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Check out this guy Devin Tompkins out of Utah State, because when I watched Calvin Austin and Devin Tompkins, it's like you're watching the same player. Like they're both tiny, but they're both electric with the ball in their hands.
I kind of felt the same way too. He also just was on a worse team. Memphis actually had a pretty good team this past season. They actually have a couple guys who are going to be drafted in the top 100. Utah State had nobody essentially.
Yeah. Hey, what position? Because we probably only got time to hit on like two more positions. I think we got to go to safety, right? Because that's a huge need for the Niners. Let's go to safety. And right up top, we got this Kyle Hamilton, because I don't know. You alluded to not being quite as high on Kyle Hamilton, and I know Crocker kind of feels the same way, because I heard Croc talking, and he's got Lewis Seen at the top of his board, but I'm like,
so do I.
I don't know about. I like Lewis Seen, but I mean Kyle Hamilton. I got to get to my notes. But
Kyle Hamilton is
the dude's just got the instincts, the anticipation in zone. You can see him jumping routes before the wide receiver even commits to the route. It's like Kyle Hamilton, he just sniffs it out and he's making plays. Kyle Hamilton, he didn't run quite as well as people anticipated, but the dude's a fucking baller. I mean, I got him as my safety one, but please.
Well, see, my problem with Kyle Hamilton is he's not a free safety. He's a strong safety, linebacker hybrid, because when he gets speed on him, he gets in trouble fast. And at Florida State, like everyone's talking about that great pick he had on the sideline, right? Hell of a play. But go back and watch that play. The quarterback stared him down, and Kyle Hamilton was in a full sprint for a long period of time. Now, that matters, because if you're playing center field, you got to be at that top speed quick. And when teams
especially at the NFL level, because quarterbacks, they will move you with their eyes.
Yep. And the biggest problem I have is he will get moved easy with his eyes. He bites a little too hard, and he doesn't get up to speed fast enough. And I think teams are going to eat him alive if he's a free safety. If he's a strong safety, if he plays a similar role to Harrison Smith, I think he'll be okay. But him being the second best player in this draft class I firmly disagree with that. Firmly.
Okay. At the second player in this draft, okay, I can understand maybe a safety, especially the safety. Feels like the safety position, the value has just been kind of decreasing, just over time.
I feel like it's Manti Te'o all over again. A guy who's being just pumped by the Notre Dame media machine, but you watch his tape and it's a little underwhelming. I think he's a better athlete. I'm not comparing player to player, but
Oh, I mean, yeah, they're different
yeah.
positions. I mean,
Yeah.
Manti Te'o, I mean, the guy, I won't talk about his fake girlfriend, but no, I like Kyle Hamilton, but I want to keep it moving. Lewis
Okay.
Cine, you said he's the number one safety on your board.
Yeah.
What do you like about him?
He just does everything right. He blitzes well. He fills the box. He fills into the box well. He gets deep well. In the SEC, he doesn't get beat over the top. Granted, the interesting part about this is coming from Georgia's dominant defense, is he going to be able to keep that up and be able to bite and do those things? And then what safety position is he really going to play? Is he going to be a strong? Is he going to be a free? Because I think there is a bit of a debate.
I think he could play both. I think he could play both.
I think he could too.
I mean,
but
my notes on Lewis Cine, this guy throws his body around. He plays a violent style of football. He's got good twitch. He's breaking on routes, good anticipation. He's fast, right? I don't have his combine number here, but
he ran a sub 4.4.
Actually, I do have his combine. He ran a 4.37. I do have his combine number here on my notes.
So the reason why I don't have Kyle Hamilton in my top 5 safeties is because all the other guys ran sub 4.4 and play like it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? Freddie's right. Well, this is Niners base, so why don't we keep it moving? Because we don't; these guys aren't going to be available.
We're talking about the draft process. All right, we're having fun here. We'll get to the Niners, I promise.
No doubt. And let me tell you, this guy Japon Brisker, right here. When I was watching the tape on Japon Brisker, it was giving me Jimmy Ward vibes.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because he wore number 1 like Jimmy Ward. But I was just getting these vibes like Jimmy Ward flashbacks from Japon Brisker. You know, he's shooting the gaps. He's evading blocks. Like there's different ways to take on blockers, right? You can either block and shed, or you got to be able to evade them. And he's getting around these blocks. I think he can. I think he's good in coverage. What do you think about Japon Brisker?
Yeah, I think his overall game is just really solid. I like his game better than I like Kyle Hamilton's game a lot. He plays faster. I think in general he's
you like Japon Brisker more than Kyle Hamilton.
I like 4 safeties better than I like Kyle Hamilton. 4.
Hell no, to the no, yeah, to the no.
I'm sorry,
gonna disagree with you. I like Brisker, but not as much as Kyle Hamilton.
I just don't. Maybe I'm being over dramatic because I don't like his tape, and everyone's talking about him like he's the second coming of Ed Reed, and it's maybe bothering me. But I have Nick Cross. I like his game better than I like Kyle Hamilton's.
I like Nick Cross too. I like Nick Cross. But before we get to him, Kirby Joseph is right here. I wasn't really feeling Kirby Joseph, to be honest.
The Niners won't draft him.
Like, he's not a bad player, but it's just he's like a 4th or 5th round pick in my eyes. And I could be wrong. Check Baller's big board. But how you feel about Kirby?
To be honest, the Niners won't draft him. I like his game. I think it's solid. I don't see anything too special in it. I think his range is a little bit limited, especially at a free safety. I think he's got a great ability to go get the football, though. He forced some fumbles this year too. He had the 5 picks. No question about that. He does get the football back. But I think there's going to be a transition period for him in the NFL because he doesn't play as fast as he runs. I think he had a great combine, but he didn't play that fast.
Any other safeties you want to touch on? Because this is right here is kind of where this is where my drop off comes in terms of my evaluation. Like Nick Cross was the lowest guy on the board, on PFF's board that I've evaluated. So if you want to touch on Brian Cook or anyone else, you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously I'm really high on Nick Cross. He's my number 2 safety because I want to I talked to my buddy again. He said the NFL is here on Nick Cross. The public is here. Nick Cross is going to go in the top 50.
Wow. Yeah. And I know he ran a blazing 40 at the combine, right, Nick Cross?
People have really looked into his tape and are really talking about him. They said his tape wasn't that good this year. I disagreed. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And we're running out of time, so we can kind of roll through a couple more. But I'm really high on Nick Cross. I really like him a lot. I don't think he's going to be there at 61, which is really unfortunate.
Okay.
I like.
Cook, yeah.
So Brian Cook and Kobe Bryant are guys that I both really liked because Cincinnati's defense put these guys in really stressful positions all the time, and they always seem to do a hell of a job. Brian Cook's a good tackler. I would say overall safety game is solid. He's not particularly fast. So I think he's out for the 49ers. No, it's, I can get the Petry tier real quick.
And I want you to, because PFF, I think PFF has him listed as a corner. Because I might be mistaken.
Well, I'll let me get to Petry. So the hard part with Petry is he didn't play safety. He played slot. He played the star position, right? So when you watch, I watched 8 of his games, and he basically was a hybrid linebacker, nickel corner who never came off the field. Jaylen Petry is a really good athlete. I think in general his coverage skills is pretty solid. I love his run stopping ability. I love his ability to make tackles. No question about it. However, I don't know what position he is. Is he a slot corner? Is he a free safety? I don't know. He's had like 5 snaps in his career in the deep third. So saying this guy is a free safety lockdown, going to be a stud, I can't say that because I haven't seen him do it. You know,
I mean, and is he a strong safety? Because I feel like I don't want Jimmy Ward in that strong safety role, because I know we've kind of forgotten about Jimmy Ward's injury history because he's been healthy the last couple of years and playing really well. But let's not forget, man, like this guy was breaking bones early in his career, right?
Yeah.
Like, fractured his forearm multiple times. I don't think I want him in the box all game. Like the 49ers, we rotate our safeties. Like last year, sometimes you'd see Tart rotate into the free safety position and Ward will come down. But more often than not, it was Ward in center field with Tart in the box.
Right.
And I don't really want to flip that. So it's like if Petry is just like a pure coverage guy, free safety, and that means Jimmy Ward has to play in the box like exclusively, I don't know how I feel about that.
So I don't think he's that. Petry can play in the box. So let me clear that up a bit. He can play in the box. He's a good run defender. He's a pretty damn good tackler too. Not perfect, but who is? But he's a really good overall player. I just don't know what position he is, and I have a feeling he's not going to be on the board, unfortunately, for the Niners at 61. If he is, that would be amazing. But like, say if like Nick Cross is there versus Jalen Petry. Jalen Petry might be a better football player and athlete around the same athlete. I would take Nick Cross for the simple fact is I know what position Nick Cross can play. I know the fact he can play single high and can play the box.
Hey,
I like
Nick
his
Cross,
size.
let me tell you, this guy was making plays in center field from fucking sideline to sideline. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Nick Cross was making plays sideline to sideline out in center field. He could cover the right sideline. He could cover the left sideline. That's where you see that speed combo. Petry, I haven't evaluated. And like you said, we don't know if he can do that in center field because he was playing predominantly in the slot.
Yeah, and it's hard to evaluate. Like me and Jesse talked about this as well. It's like, dude, what position is he? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, because it wasn't like he was playing press man. He ran that star hybrid. So when he's in the slot, he's 6 to 10 yards off the ball, disguising a coverage. Whether he could be a nickel, and I think that's fair, but he's not a press man nickel. He didn't really play that. He played off the line of scrimmage, either sneaking into a deep third behind the corner and the corner coming up, taking the flat, or disguising it with a drop zone over the middle. Petry, his tape was really smart. I'm not saying he's not a bad player. I just don't know what position he's going to play in the NFL. And if he's a nickel, I would wait on nickel and take Darius Mathis from Pittsburgh. That's what I would do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And because you know how the 49ers like to use their nickels, right? When we're looking at K1, right? They're blitzing, they're run defenders. So it's like whoever is in that nickel has to tackle well. And that's why I've kind of pegged Diamador Lenore for kind of that slot role, because when he was at Oregon, hold up. When he was at Oregon, I thought he was a phenomenal tackler. Like, yeah, we know cornerback position coverage is most important, but I thought he was really good and a physical tackler at the corner position. And I feel like we ask our nickelbacks to do a lot of that. So E-Man, I feel like E-Man can do some of that. Maybe is it going to be Ambry out wide and then Emmanuel Mosley shifts into the slot, or are we going to draft a guy? I don't know where I was going with this, but I like Diamador Lenore in the slot.
Yeah, I a draft crush I got was Darius Mathis. He had the second lowest completion percentage against him this season.
Let me see if I can find him.
He's a corner.
I should find him. Oh, he's a corner.
He's a corner.
I'm on
super low on PFF, very high on Draft Network. And he's a guy to me who is the quintessential 49ers cornerback. He's 5'11". He's 196 pounds. He ran a sub 4.4 and had the lowest coverage grade, playing basically press man the entire season at Pittsburgh. His tape was impressive. And I am
lowest
shocked.
Coverage grade? Is it lowest? Lowest sounds bad to me.
No, lowest completion percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, he got in people's faces. Pittsburgh beat Clemson this year because of Darius Mathis. He shut down an entire side of the field for an entire game. I really like this kid. I think he's a guy who's a steal right now because I got to
write this down. I'm going to check out this guy, Darius Mathis. Okay. I got to check him out. I'll let you know how I feel about him.
Please do.
Man, I'm having a blast. Hey, but you know what? While we got some people in the building, that Niner guy, you got to shout out your Twitter, man, because we got to get those Twitter followers up, man, because they're low, big dog. We got to get you some more Twitter followers. Shout it out, everyone watching who's on Twitter. Subscribe to this guy's Twitter or follow.
Yeah, I don't post, so that's the reason why.
Bullshit. He's about to start posting more because I'm about to make him.
It's that Niner guy, the underscores, that underscore Niner guy, 415, and it's at that rando guy. Again, I got really into this guy thing. I don't know why I did. It happened. Just deal with it.
Fucking deal with it.
Deal with it.
Right. Hey, any other safeties you want to touch on?
Yep, go down. My favorite sleeper of the draft, Marquise Bell.
This guy. I knew it was coming because I seen your mock draft you sent me.
Yep. I love Marquise Bell. Because I think for the 49ers, he fits a couple needs. He was a 4-star who went to Maryland. He got in trouble right out of the gate and actually left school.
You love those damn troublemakers, Johnny.
You know why?
Because they're guys talented. Who just get into trouble.
They're talented. But he was 18 years old. Since then, been a model student. He messed up as a kid. He has figured it out. He was a man amongst boys in the HBCU. Like, it's one thing being at a lower conference like Trey Lance. It's another thing dominating it. Trey dominated that conference, right? Marquise Bell was the best defensive player in the HBCU, and it was not close. He was, again, a 4-star high-level recruit athlete, incredibly fast. He ran a 4.5 at the combine. Coverage skills are really good. And when you watch his tape, you see him be 11 yards out and make plays in the backfield. This guy's tape is very impressive. His coverage skills are pretty solid too. I love him as a feature strong safety or outside linebacker because he's also 6'3". He's got those long arms. And say he doesn't fit at safety right away, he could be a legit special team or outside linebacker you get in the 5th round who could then earn a starting job. He's like a guy the 49ers I know would love to take. And the recruiting thing, the scouting thing on him is that he's turned, he made mistakes when he's 18. Who the hell hasn't? But he's figured it out and literally, he's going to get drafted. It's just the question is how high and where.
Hey, I'm going to check out Marquise Bell out of Florida A&M. I haven't seen his tape yet, but the guys who you've put me on to, Johnny, and said, hey, Baller, you got to check these guys out. You haven't let me down yet. So I'm looking forward to that one. The last thing I want to do real quick, and StreamYard's so goofy, so it won't let me show the full mock. And but I want you to kind of walk us through this mock draft you did. You traded back, right? And you were telling me that you think philosophically that would be a good idea for the 49ers to do. And just kind of walk me through this mock draft you did.
Yeah, so I did this a week ago. My opinion, the reason why I want to trade back is I think we talked about this at the beginning of the show, is that I only have about 15 first-round grades in this class. I have like 38 second-round grades, and I have about 57 third-round grades. And so for me, it depends on who's on the board. I traded back a lot, and my idea. I mean, these trades are unrealistic. I understand that. I try to get a few picks for next year by moving back a little further down the board. Getting a couple extra picks for next year's draft, giving them ammo to move up in what looks like to be a better draft class. There's a lot of underclassmen who are going to be coming out next year and some really talented kids. And if the 49ers can get a chance to jump up and get one of those guys in a year to really help Trey Lance. But I understand the need is now, so I didn't want to give up too much. But also, this is also before I talked to my scout friend who said that Nick Cross is not going to go in the third round. He's probably going to go in the mid to high second round, kind of like Javon Holland did last year, who was a guy who was like a third round guy on the edge of second round. And then obviously he went at the top of the second round because Miami has good scouts. So that's the reason why I took Nick Cross my first pick. I took Sam Williams my second pick. Again, what if I did this now?
The Sam Williams pick, I was sold. As soon as I saw Sam Williams, I was like, hey, I'm good. I'm good with the draft as long as Sammy's in there. But please continue.
And then obviously we talked about Sam. Donovan West at center. I think right now he's the best. Him and Luke Fortner, I'm good with either. I'm out on Cam Jurgens. He makes too many mental mistakes, and it shows really prevalently in his tape. He's a good young player. He needs more time. And if Alex Mack does not return this year and the 49ers have to roll out a rookie, it has to be Donovan West or Luke Fortner or Cole Strange or Parham or whoever. I liked West. He's on the board there. I took him. I took Pierre Strong next because I felt like we needed a scat back, a good zone read back.
No.
And
I liked, Pierre Strong, the running back position is one that I've scouted somewhat extensively, and I saw the speed on tape, and it matched the combine number. Pierre Strong, small school guy out of South Dakota State. He's got the acceleration. He's got the speed. I think he can run the outside zone. The juke moves, I felt like we're lacking a little bit. I thought he was, but from a speed standpoint, he fits the outside zone mold.
Yeah, he's like the joystick runner who doesn't quite make a juke. Kind of just veers to the right or left to try and just fall down and get more yards.
Yeah.
He relies on his speed a lot, which is fine because those guys tend not to fumble a ton. He hasn't fumbled a ton or like barely at all. So that's always a big plus for running backs. Do they fumble to put the ball on the ground? As we saw with Elijah Mitchell, one of the big pluses in his category was he does not fumble the football. So that helps you get on the field faster. I just want Kobe Bryant. I think Kobe gets a bad rap. He's been falling in the draft process because of Cincinnati's defense. So if you haven't watched a lot of tape, Kobe Bryant always played on the field side, which is the larger side with the giant hash marks in college football. And Ahmad Gardner always played on the boundary side, which is the shorter side. And there's a lot less room there, so you don't get targeted as much. Now, so because of that, and you're being in deep zones all the time, and Ahmad Gardner, you just played press man on that one guy, took him out of the play, and let the rest of the zone take care of everything else. And so because of that, Kobe Bryant's constantly being put in more compromising positions. He's a smarter player than he's getting credit for. But I think he's a fourth-round pick right now. He's a good player, not a great player. If the Niners draft him, I'm cool with it. But he's a pure outside corner. There's not much else there in his game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think nickel is a bigger need for the Niners right now.
Hey, speaking of nickel, I think we're going to wrap it up on this one. Shout out to my boy Kelts. What up, Kelts? But I know he really likes Marcus Jones, and I know 49ers Twitter is absolutely enamored with Marcus Jones. I haven't even watched his tape, I'm going to be honest. The cornerback position I haven't got to, because it's like when I'm evaluating, I tend to go like position by position and do each position just super thoroughly, 30, 40 guys deep. And the cornerback position, I just haven't got to it yet. But I will tell you, I know Marcus Jones was like also played some offense, and this is all from like 49ers Twitter. 49ers Twitter absolutely loves Marcus Jones. He's a slot guy. He can return. I don't know how I know all this stuff. It's 49ers Twitter. But I want to ask you, what do you think about Marcus Jones?
So Marcus Jones, if he wasn't 5'8", he probably would be a first-round pick. But because he's 5'8", and there is the injury problem. That's the problem I have with drafting Marcus Jones.
I didn't know that.
He's got the shoulder
injury.
He's got the shoulder injuries and stuff. It's a constant thing. If you know about this, like if you've had shoulder injuries, you know you get re-injured fairly often. When
I got a buddy who's dislocated his shoulder, like playing basketball, and now it happens like it seems like every 6 months. He told me, "Damn, dude, it popped out again."
Yep, it happens. Like one of my best friends in high school, he was our center, and he dislocated his shoulder freshman year. Proceeded to do it every single year. Like some guys, it reattaches the surgery. Sometimes it works. Most of the time, it doesn't. So there's an injury problem there. It's not a talent problem. That's why I get why everyone likes his tape. His tape's really good. He's going to be an ace on special teams. If he could stay healthy, he's going to be a steal for whomever gets him. But third round value is about right now just because of the injury history.
And like we talked about, what the 49ers ask out of that nickelback, it's a physical position. We're blitzing you. We're asking you to run fit. I mean, can he do some of that? Can he hold up in the run game?
His play tells you yes, but I don't know with the shoulders. You don't want to be taking on pulling fullbacks and tight ends and guards with a bad shoulder. That's a recipe for a quick night. That's something that's not great.
Hey, Johnny, a.k.a. that Niner guy, I had a blast talking ball with you. We might have to do this again before the draft. And make sure you like this video. Get those likes up right now. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000. And once I hit 1,000, you best believe we're about to do some giveaways. We're about to get some shit popping off. But, hey, Johnny, I appreciate you giving your time. Man, I feel like I got smarter. I know more about these draft prospects. I think the audience does as well. Anything you want to plug? You know, we hit up your Twitter. Anything else you want to plug or let the audience know you got going on? Now's the time.
No, I mean, listen, if you guys want to talk draft stuff, I'm just a floater now. I'm almost 30 in my career. Just I love football. I love talking Niner stuff, and I love talking the draft because it's all markets and it's values, and it's really to me it's the best time of year. So anyone you want to hit me up on Twitter and ask me about prospects, love to go back and forth with you. I have nothing to plug because I don't go on any shows. I go on your show now and Rob's show because that's where me and Rob have made a friendship and have. You know, we talk once in a while, and I think we might be doing that on his show. But I'd love to come back and get through the rest of the positions, some of the more positions. But you do what you got to do, buddy.
Hey, no doubt. I'm gonna hit you up in the DMs. We'll collab. We'll get it going again because you know your shit, and I love talking to you. Shout out to Rob Shue. He's the man.
Yep.
But hey, thanks for coming on. We're about to wrap it up. Hit the subscribe, and I'm gonna catch y'all next time.